Hey there, Andrea here. I am the author of Saving You is Killing Me, Loving Someone with an Addiction. And today we're going to talk all about grit, the secret ingredient in recovery. Now, do you ever get derailed or distracted from your goals or your intentions? Or do setbacks actually really set you back in a huge way, like more than you'd like to admit? Well, you know what? A lot of us struggle, right? We struggle with this follow through and this ability to meet our goals and to reach our goals. And sometimes we set goals for ourselves, but only to find that we don't reach them or we get disappointed in ourselves. Now, it is so important to talk about this concept of grit, especially when it comes to loving someone with an addiction or if you're in addiction recovery as we speak. So, Angela Duckworth, she's a celebrated researcher and a professor of psychology, and she really does show us the secret about accomplishment, about personal success, and personal strength. And I'll give you a clue. It has nothing to do with this idea of talent or genius or just superhuman. So, in other words, a little grit goes a long way. So, what is grit? And how can it help us? And why is it important when it comes to recovery and taking back our power? So, whether you love someone with an addiction or you're in recovery yourself, grit is an essential ingredient that helps you build hope, it helps contribute to your success, and it helps you foster resilience. And that resilience is so important, right? I always say, you got to struggle well. Like you're not immune to the setbacks that life has to bring us, right? There's going to be struggle, there's going to be challenges in our life, and building and that ability to have grit and foster resilience and hope is really essential. All right, so in the book Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance, Angela Duckworth, she really does teach us that the peaks in our life or the high peaks aren't necessarily conquered by being naturally strong at something, by being super talented and by being smart, but rather by those that are willing to endure and wait out the storm or try and try again. That is really those high peak performances and those amazing, people that reach their goals or the people that are, living a life that they want to live and they desire for themselves, and they're really facing life in a way that's matching their goals and what they want to do and who they want to be. The difference is that these people are people who are willing to endure, they're willing to wait out the storm, and they're willing to keep trying. So, passion and perseverance matter. In other words, grit matters. So let's jump into that. Let's talk about, what is grit? So grit is a combination of passion and perseverance together. And so passion is the consistency of a goal held over a long period of time. So it's about endurance here. It's not just about intense brief moments of, enthusiasm and inspiration. Passion is about this idea of endurance, and it's about, it's that thing in your life that you've desired and it just hasn't gone away. You've really desired it. Maybe it's changed a little bit here and there, but ultimately it has staying power. And that's what passion is. It is the consistency of a goal held over a long period of time. For me, it's the love of learning, it's the love of books, and it's the love of sharing knowledge, so that I can help make people have a positive impact on their life. That's my passion. So, what is your passion? And then the next step to grit is also this element of perseverance. So, perseverance is that ability to overcome setbacks, it's that ability to put in the hard work. And it's also the ability to finish what we've started. And that's really important, right? And that's what perseverance is. So, life is going to be presented with challenges, struggles, obstacles, and they're unavoidable. That's what makes us human. So perseverance is what keeps us going. It keeps us learning. It keeps us growing. And so those two elements, passion and perseverance, is actually what makes up this idea of grit. And I love that word. So why is grit important when it comes to recovery? You can probably already see a lot of the elements of why it would be important. So if you have grit, you become brave enough, strong enough, and determined enough to accomplish what you want in your life. You have the ability to succeed with your goals. So you're brave enough, strong enough, determined enough to reach and succeed at your goals. So grit is kind of like this driver of your achievement and your success. So grit is also one of the abilities to overcome adversity. So right, it's really important. It's That's what it is. So it's that bounce back from defeat. It's that learning from our failure. It's that keep on going kind of thing. So grit is really important, as you can tell. And acknowledging that we are human, we are going to make mistakes, we are going to be faced with challenge. That's what it means to be human. And so, this idea of grit is that you can see why grit is an essential ingredient for recovery. So, science has actually shown that grit is even more potent than self control. Now, as you can see, that's really, really important. So, grit is more potent than self control because self control is more about resisting temptation, whereas grit is more about effort and desired sustainable effort over the years, right? And it's sustained. So it's about effort and desire, what you want for yourself and what you are willing to go, like, what you've wanted for yourself and it's sustained over the years, and what you're willing to do. What's the effort you're willing to put in, right? That's grit. And so it's really important to have those two elements in place in order for us to have sustained change in our life and to be successful. So grit is more about effort and desire sustained over the years consistently. So when we demonstrate grit, or we're gritty, so to speak, it's because we have this resilience to push forward, to overcome, to get through, to make around challenges, navigate obstacles. And that's really what it means to be gritty. And so Angela Duckworth, in her book, she does talk about and she suggests all these elements of grit. And she says grit is crucial because it is the tendency to sustain interest in and effort towards your goals. What's important to you? What do you want for yourself? What are your goals? And the idea here is to get gritty about it. And when you get gritty about it, you're going to have that sustained interest in, as well as the effort. You'll realize the effort that needs to go in towards your goals, even amongst struggle, amongst setbacks, amongst temporary failure. Now, notice that word temporary failure, right? Because we always learn, we fail forward, so to speak. So, grit is the recipe that moves us towards our goals and desires. Resilience is the ingredient that makes the recipe successful. So, resilience is about adapting rather well. So, we want to adapt to our environment. We want to adopt a growth mindset. And when we're faced with adversity, with trauma, with tragedy, with sources of stress or threat or problems in our life, we want to be able to be resilient, that we'll have that bounce back factor. So when you love someone with an addiction or you are in recovery yourself, grit has the potential to help you take back your power, to help you restore your life. So the good news is that can cultivate, you can develop, you can become more gritty. And now that we know what grit is, right, we're all thinking probably like, oh my God, how do I get more gritty? Or, and so this is really essential. Like, well, how do we do this? So, and in her book, Grit, it is so powerful. Angela Duckworth suggests some of the following things, and some of these are just based on resilience. And how to build your resilience as well. So, how do we become more gritty, right? So, how do we develop more grit and resilience for recovery? All right. So, the first thing you want to do is enhance interest. And so your passion grows with enjoyment. So finding those things that you enjoy again, remembering all those things that you enjoy and that, that you can make the most of your life. So what do you enjoy doing the most in your life? What drives you? And then try to do that as often as you can. Try to do it full time, and ask yourself often, like, where does your mind wander? What are all the books on your bookshelf at your house? What Instagram feeds do you just love and feed that it feeds you? So what do you care about the most, and like what matters to you the most? So how do you enjoy spending your time? So when you enhance your interest, you are going to really tap into your passion. And what that does is helps you to become more gritty. It helps you to have more grit in situations that maybe are challenges, or maybe you've setbacks and obstacles. So enhancing your interest and tapping into your interest and then doing that often will make you more gritty. Think about that, right? Makes sense. If you're really passionate about something, you're going to be, have more perseverance and more stamina to stay sustained in that interest. So, another way to develop more grit and resilience for recovery is through practice. Practice, 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 right? Practice is about daily discipline so you can do things better, so you can get better than you were yesterday. And it's a desire to improve. So knowing that we all are human, right? We need to practice. We need to develop our skills. We need to hone our craft in order to get better at something. And so this idea to help us get more gritty is to practice, to desire to improve, and to notice where we might be struggling and then learn new skills. So being persistent is really key. So having a persistent desire to do and be better is really key. So you can ask yourself things like, is it working? Should I get extra practice, or what do I need to change here? What do I need to do? Keep challenging yourself so you can gain the skill sets that you need to reach your goals, to be the person that you want to be. And so this idea, and in psychology, it's called deliberate practice. And it's all about preparing for the challenges, right? And also seeing and challenging yourself enough in certain situations. So not getting bored and sitting back, this is easy. It's like challenging yourself, pushing yourself so that you can get better at things, so you can enhance your skill set, so you can feel that sense of accomplishment. That will help you get more gritty and be more resilient. So, another thing we can do is to embrace purpose. Now, I know sometimes this is a really, really intense question, like, what's your purpose? But don't get stressed about that. We don't want to get purpose anxiety here. The idea here is to tap into purpose in the way that, purpose is about conviction that your work, that your life, that you as a human are worthy and you matter. So, how do you make a difference? That's what purpose really is. Purpose is the intention to contribute to the well being of others. What's your purpose, right? So, figuring that out, wake up every day with a sense of purpose, embracing that. How do you enhance people's lives? And if you're not sure, you could ask your mom or your best friend or someone that loves you, or even, people that, that value you, and you'll tap into a little bit more being aware of your purpose and embracing it. You can ask your things like, what do you do for society? What have you done that meant something to someone else, right? That has meant something. So this is all about making sure that your top level goal is actually purposeful, and that'll help you get more gritty. And then another thing we can do is to learn hopefulness. Now, I'm all about this idea of hopefulness. And hope is that wonderful positive emotion that really does help us rise to the occasion. And hopefulness is, it's easy to feel hopeless, but hopefulness we can cultivate, we can grow, and it actually helps us to become more gritty. And so hopefulness is the expectation that, tomorrow is going to be better than it is today. And I love that, right? Like taking that idea of tomorrow is going to be better than today. And that's what hope is. And that you have influence on that. So grit depends on this expectation that your efforts can improve your future. So the effort you're putting in now can improve your future. And that's what hopefulness is. All right. So, another thing we can do to grow our grit and resilience for recovery is to adopt what's called the growth mindset. Now, I love Carol Dweck's work all on the growth mindset. So, a growth mindset is about learning, it's about growing, it's about getting better and knowing that there's a process involved. That, you know what, it's not I either have it or I don't thinking. It's more about, okay, that happened. Now, what can I learn from this? How can I grow? How can I get better? It's like looking at things from a curiosity lens. So, staying more curious and not being judgmental of yourself or others, right? Oh, I'm not good at that. Versus, I'm wondering how I can practice, how I can get better, how I can improve in this situation or what I can learn from this, that kind of thinking. So, growth mindset is really powerful to help us get more gritty. It's going to make us better. It's going to, move us closer to our goals and allow us to be successful. So, asking questions like, what can I learn from this? How can I improve, learn, or grow? What's another way of looking at this? That's one of my favorite questions. Like when I'm feeling really closed minded or I have a fixed mindset around something, it's like, okay, Andrea, what's another way of seeing this? Another way of seeing this is, and then look for opportunity for growth, learning, and stay curious. It's like, what's the lesson in this? I know when I love someone with an addiction, it was really challenging. And it's like, I don't think there's any lesson in this. I can't grow from this. Like in the moment, in the muck, it's sometimes hard to see. But adopting a growth mindset really makes us resilient and it actually helps enhance grit. And opportunities for learning and growing. So, what's another way of looking at this? Is a great way. Another way to see this is the possibilities are, it's about believing you can persevere over adversity. So a growth mindset, you are believing when you believe that you can persevere even in adversity, even with addiction, even in any situation. That is a growth mindset that you can bounce back and notice your self talk, right? It's you want to be supportive of yourself, respectful of yourself, and but also and it's demanding at the same time. You want to demand of yourself so that you can keep pushing and challenging yourself and keep getting better. And that's what grit is all about. So, another piece, which brings us into the last one, is this idea about challenging yourself. And one of the ways to get grittier, and in her book, Angela Duckworth, she really suggests challenging yourself with hard things. So do some hard things, make some, push yourself a little bit so that you have that ability to be challenged, so you can grow, so you can learn, so you can actually fail, temporarily fail while you keep learning and growing and getting better. And that makes us more gritty. And I love in her book, she talked about the hard thing rule. And so what you do is it requires that you deliberately every single day practice something that's hard for you, that's challenging, that pushes you. So the first thing you do is just choose something that's hard. And then what is your hard thing? Like think about what that might be for you. And so, the rule is that you want to commit to it. So you can quit, but you can only quit after the season's over. So if it's like, ultimate frisbee, you want to join a league, you are challenging yourself to do that hard thing, but at the same time you want to have a deadline. So you can quit, but only once the season's over or the tuition is up or the time is out, or there's a natural stopping that has arrived. And I love that idea and that tip to challenge yourself. So, grit really does offer a genuinely new perspective on recovery and resilience. The true success comes when we devote ourselves to endeavors that give us joy, that give us purpose. Grit teaches us how to be more motivated, it teaches us how to be more passionate, and it teaches us to be really persistent in our lives and put the effort in. And so being gritty is so powerful. We learned the power of grit now in this. And in her book, Angela Duckworth, Grit, is so powerful because it really does enhance this idea of developing and growing. And the idea, too, that we can actually get better at being gritty. And so we can cultivate our interests, we can create habits and daily challenges. We can connect to our lives to a greater purpose that's beyond ourselves. We can learn to develop hope. We can, when all else seems lost, we can develop hopefulness and believe that what we do today has an influence on the future, that we can persevere and we can get better. I love this combination of passion and perseverance, and that we can keep learning and growing from life experiences. So that's it, my friends. I hope you got a lot out of that. It is such a wonderful book, Grit, by Angela Duckworth. The power of passion and perseverance. And this is all about grit, the secret ingredient in recovery. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.